take projection.
Welcome everybody back to Taking On Sports. It's been a minute. Greg, how you doing?
I am good. How are you today, sir?
I'm pretty good. Of course, I'm TD Wood, you're the host. We're back after a little month-long absence. I'm back from New Orleans, back with lots to talk about. So let's get right into it. We'll start, of course, with the NBA playoffs. The big thing, the conference finals are going on right now. And as it stands, the Nuggets are up 3-0 on the Lakers, and the Heat went into Boston and took the first two. They will play again later today. Greg, we'll start in the West. Do the Lakers have any chance?
No, it is over. I mean, they might win one. Denver, they've just been wrecking teams. I mean, they've looked like what a number one seed's supposed to look like. No question about it. You know, Jamal Murray, Jokic, and they've been put on a clinic this series and looked like the only dominant team in this entire playoff, and they've done it the entire, you know, every round of the playoffs so far. So yeah, they're looking good.
Yeah, absolutely. And their fourth quarters have been something to behold. Just they get hot at the right time, and just they go on these
Exactly.
like 20-5 runs and put the game away. And you know, Lakers might make a couple shots and make it a little bit close at the end, but you don't really feel like Denver's letting it up as much as you feel
No.
like, yeah. Yeah, Jokic has been the Joker's been the man. And like you said, Jamal Murray's really stepped up, reminded us what a good player he is.
Right.
And they got other guys, Aaron Gordon's some really good. You got Michael Porter's showing off some. You got guys just dropping threes for them. And, that high pick and roll is killing the Lakers. They don't know what to
Killing the
do with it.
Lakers. Yeah, no answer for that at all.
None. Like, absolutely none. So, yeah, I think you pretty much just echo everything you said. That the Nuggets look like a number one seed should. They look like the dominant team out west. This might be their year.
Might very well be.
If we go predicting things, and the other thing will happen. But I mean, right now,
Yeah.
like you said, they look like the most rounded, best team in the playoffs so far. And yeah, so I'm with you. I mean, yeah, Lakers probably steal one. They might even steal two. But at this point, this is the first time I've really seen LeBron look his age in basketball years. Not even just 30 years old or whatever, but like he's played for 20 seasons. He's played a lot of games,
A lot of basketball.
yeah, and you can tell he looks tired, pulling up. A lot of slow. AD's AD. You might go like 30, 17, and 9 one night, and then shoot 3 times the next night. So
Right. You just never know what you're gonna get with them.
no,
That's the most.
yes.
I know as those Laker fans, that's the most frustrating part about it because he can look like the best big man in the league one day, and the next day you don't even know he's there. It's crazy.
Yeah. So yeah. That's it. So yeah, the Nuggets should represent. It's just a matter of when, not if, over there.
Pretty much.
In the East, we mentioned the Heat just doing what the Heat do. Just kind of being an 8 seed and bullying other people around, going into Boston. And much like the Nuggets, in the fourth quarter, it's the Heat's.
Oh yeah.
And I will just say one thing, and then I'll let you go with this. If I'm a teammate and I'm playing against Jimmy Butler, and I see one of my teammates start talking trash to him, I'm going to beat the shit out of him right there on the court. Because why would you anger Jimmy Butler in a playoff game?
Out of all people.
Just why? Yeah. And so, even right now, I still think, looking at like the East being BPI, they still have Boston is 72% to win it. No. Like, what the... Again, same question basically. Is there a way that Boston can come back from this?
Well, I mean, Boston at least still has that opportunity to. It's all, of course, it's a point of one game thing. It's a matter of getting game 3, and we know they have the talent to win a game. It's just a matter of do they? They haven't closed out games well at all. and just a matter of can they play up to their level. Tatum hasn't looked particularly good. The supporting cast hasn't looked good at times, and it's just the big runs that Miami goes on. I mean, they go on like what 15-2 runs. And, it's middle of the third quarter. It's a close game. You look up halfway through the fourth, and Boston's down 12. It's been crazy.
Yeah, it's out of nowhere too. Boston will look good, and then, like you said, just in a snap, there Miami's gone on a run, and then they've got a 9-point lead with like a minute 30 to go.
Right.
And Jimmy Butler's he's the Terminator when it comes to like these fourth quarter playoff scenarios.
Yeah.
And it's kind of amazing to watch. And you touched on Jason Tatum's just been kind of I don't know if I've ever seen a star player, like a team star, just not be so ineffective and just like invisible in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like the other night, he had 3 shots in the fourth quarter. You have to get him more shots. You have to like either tell him like, "Hey, be selfish and take this game on," or you have to create
take
the
over.
offense. Yeah, like.
I mean, no one else is, so he's got to be the.
Yeah, we seen him do it. We saw him do it against Philly.
Oh yeah, we saw it. We know he's capable of it. It's just a matter of that consistency.
Yeah, I think that's his next step. Yeah,
just becoming that consistent killer. I know he's a big Kobe guy, one of Kobe's disciples. You would think, he has to get that full-time Kobe Mamba mentality to just turn it on. And he's still a younger player. Still a lot of years left to get that. But at the same time, you don't. I mean, you may seem like you have a lot of times, but you don't know how many more times you actually have getting to the Eastern Conference Finals, the NBA Finals. So when you get there, you got to be able to take advantage of it because you just don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Especially, there's some talk that maybe, Boston might change the roster up at this offseason. Or, there's been some talk that maybe this coach isn't quite ready yet for the big time. He's thrust into it after, the Ime Udoka suspension or release by Boston. And then,
Right.
their top assistants had already been snatched up by other franchises. And so this guy kind of got thrust into it and never really had a lot of big time head coaching experience, and
Right.
a lot of criticism about his lack of adjustments and, rotations and just little things that coaches do in the playoffs to help get their team over. And then,
at the same time,
go ahead.
No, I was just saying, but you got to think that's just something he's gonna, he's learning right now. I mean, it's his first time as a head coach in the playoffs. I mean, and if I'm Boston, I mean, I'm not making any moves because I mean, obviously he's good enough that he's got him to this point. And I think it's just a matter of continuing to learn, get more experience, how to adjust in the playoffs. There's different in the regular season. And I think, I would continue to run with him. I wouldn't get away from him just because, it's his first time out. If you have 4 or 5, 3, 4 times that it's happening, then yeah, you look around. But this is his first time on go, so I'm definitely not moving along because I would look at it. Are you if you do bring anybody else in, are they going to be a better option? And it's also a matter of do they fit in with the team, and the team seems to like him as a coach there. So I wouldn't move away from him. Because that's something you just have to learn, experience.
Yeah, for sure. It's a tough series to do it in though when you're playing.
Yeah.
Eric Spoelstra, and then that Heat culture.
Yeah.
With Pat Riley's present there, they've
Oh, for sure.
People don't realize it, but if the Heat went on to win the title this year, that'd be their 4th in the last 15-ish years.
Yeah, 4.
I mean, that's up there with the Warriors.
It's,
they're
for
just
sure.
consistently kind of around, and maybe not always like a number 1 seed, but
they're
the Heat are always
there.
there.
Yeah, come playoff time, that is not who you want to see.
Yeah,
they're tough. They're well coached. I mean, you think about Eric Spoelstra, probably the most underrated coach, maybe in NBA history. I mean, just the,
Hmm.
the length of time he's been down there, and everybody thought, well, he's only succeeding right now because of Bron. He got down there, he had to deal with putting that all together. That's the big thing, all those personalities at one time, and he, handled that. And every other coach after Braun leaves, the thing falls apart. And he kept it together, got it going back. Of course, having good leadership with Pat Riley there helped out, but able to get it back on course, and they've had some able to get Jimmy Butler in there, and they've had some good seasons there. So, and I think he's a big part of that, just because I think he's arguably the best coach in the NBA right now.
Yeah, sure. It's hard to argue against results, and he's got them.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, we'll see. Like I said, Celtics Heat, they'll play again later
Tomorrow, no,
today.
tomorrow, not tonight. All right, yeah.
Yeah, it's tonight. Yeah. You would think the Celtics have to. I mean, they obviously have to steal at least one to stay alive, but you
Oh
would
yeah,
think they'd have to take both in Miami to
oh
get
yeah.
it back to like basically a best of three
And
series
I would
with
have to
two in
think
Boston.
tonight would definitely be the one you have to get, because
Hmm.
when you go down three, it's just, I don't know. That's a whole different mindset, especially on the road like that.
Yeah, and then the NBA is the one professional league. No team has ever come back from 3-0 deficit.
Yeah, we've seen
Um,
some 3-1s, but yeah, no 3-0s.
Now 3-0, yeah. Moving on, we'll quick talk about a couple of these eliminated teams. We noticed the Lakers, the last round, they went through Steph and the Warriors, and the Warriors just look like it's kind of the end of an era.
Yeah,
It's
looks like.
you would think there got to be some big changes happening to that
All
franchise in the
right.
all season.
Yeah.
Whether it's getting rid of Draymond or maybe getting Jordan Poole out of there and make some trades of these younger guys, or
All right.
what one, that the money is an issue, but they just have to. You just think, yeah, major changes are coming this off season for Golden
Yeah, you
State.
would have to think so. I mean, it's been quite the ride and run there, but yeah, it looks like it's kind of coming to an end there. And it's just it happens to almost, I guess, that's the closest thing to a dynasty we've seen in the NBA for a while. But yeah, I mean, it's been a fun run, but it's hard to keep things going. Jordan Poole, I think, was the biggest problem. He got that big contract and uh, was MIA for most of the playoffs, it seemed.
Hmm.
And everything really hurt him there. Yeah, they have a lot of those young guys. And, just a matter of, do they play them or do they move them for to try to get other bigger names, already established guys in there? Yeah, what do they do with Draymond? Does Clay stay? I know that his name comes up a lot all the time, but who knows? But yeah, definitely, like you said, definitely would. You'd be shocked to see if I guess their somewhat big three is there come start of the season next year.
Yeah. So it should good to watch. The Sixers, another team, they were eliminated by
Whew.
Boston last round with
Yeah,
MVP Joel Embiid not having the best series. Again, they fired Doc Rivers, so
yeah.
that's one change they made. Do you think we see Embiid do you think we see James Harden back? Do you think maybe he goes somewhere else and the Sixers try to rebuild that part of the roster around Embiid, or what do you think is going to happen there?
There's been rumors the whole time that Harden's out already, but who knows? But then there was also talk that he had a bigger, there's rumors, and it's all talk rumors, of course, that he was a big reason why Doc got fired. So, um, and then there's also rumors that he's going back to Houston. Um,
Mhm.
and then I think it, but I think that Harden's probably gone. But who knows at this point? It's just a matter of. But yeah, if you're going to go one to the other, of course you're going to see what you can put around Embiid. I think you want to get younger. I think you want to get maybe hungrier, because Harden, at times he just kind of there. And then other times he'll look good, but he's not the same guy that he once was. And
Hmm.
I don't think he's the difference maker or anything that's going to make the 76ers move to the next level from second round team and constantly to a team that can win the East, win the NBA title.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, you'd like to see maybe. I think a big loss of theirs was getting rid of Seth Curry.
Oh yeah,
I think they need that kind of deadly shooter back. Maybe
right.
I like Tyrese Maxey there. I think he's
Yeah, I
good to
like
stay
Maxi.
there. I think maybe you see Tobias Harris move on if they either trade him or release him. I think there's going to be some decent changes on the roster
Right.
wise.
And
Beside
do you think that they could still
coaching
have Jimmy?
change.
They could still have Jimmy Butler with that
Yeah,
whole
right. If
Tobias
only.
Harris.
If only.
Excuse me.
Uh, let's see who else do we got here. The Bucks, of course, they
Yeah,
lost in round one.
and we
So
jinxed
a
them.
couple.
I think we both had them coming out the East.
We did, yeah. They got the official taking on sports jinx, but it's just, I mean, they ran
Uh,
into that Heat team, which
yeah, the Heat team was on fire. Giannis being hurt those first couple of games definitely didn't help. Um, and then yeah, and to be fair, I mean the Heat definitely an 8 seed. Is much better than the 8 seed. The record said 8 seed, but we knew that even with the Bucks winning, they were going to get us. I mean, even though we had the Bucks win that series, we knew that they were going to get a series just because of Spoelstra and what Jimmy Butler brings, especially in the playoffs. But yeah, that'd be interesting to see what they do this offseason. Who they get as their coach.
hmm
What changes do they make to get back to that championship level that they, seem to always be around, but come up short the last couple of years now.
yeah, interesting to see. Reading that they've interviewed Kelvin Sampson from Houston in the college game.
Yeah, I
That'd
know
be
that
interesting.
would be interesting.
Um, Chris Middleton, it has a player option. Do they
Hmm.
want him back? I'm interested to see with Milwaukee if they just try to run it back with the same roster and a fresh coach,
Yeah,
um,
yeah,
and see what's going on there, or if maybe they do, maybe they sign and trade Middleton or something like that. Maybe they make a couple of changes around that kind of
right.
core of Giannis, Drew Holiday, and Middleton,
You know, I,
or if they like that because when
I would.
that's a healthy team, that's a good team.
Yeah, yeah. When they're healthy, and that's the biggest thing. If 'cause Chris Middleton seems to can't stay healthy, unfortunately, and that's. But yeah, I mean, if they're all willing, good with coming back and want to be there, and their health is not in question, I would stay with it. I mean they're a good team. I mean they were the number one seed for a reason, um, and things just kind of fell apart quickly against the Heat there. But I I wouldn't make too many moves there. I think when they're healthy, that team is it's a good team. They have chemistry. They play well together. Um, I I would try to run it back with I guess a fresh coach there if I were.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I like that roster. Maybe you had a couple role players here and
Yeah,
there.
but I wouldn't make any
But yeah,
big adjustments there if I'm decision maker in Milwaukee.
yeah, I think I see what you get with a fully healthy 100%
Right.
Middleton back
Right.
in that. In a similar state, the Suns, um, they they ousted Monty Williams. A lot of good coaches getting
A
access off
lot of good
season.
coaches, and yeah,
And this was the weirdest one for me. I understand Coach Bud. He's been there a while. There's been talks of him leaving before.
yeah,
You lose to that 8 seed. That's kind of rough. But Monty Williams, that kind of was puzzling when I saw that.
yeah. I mean, he just what they. I mean, they've been. I guess it was just how it ended the last 2 years for him that kind of was his downfall.
Hmm.
Last year, at Game 7 against the Mavs, this year kind of got ran. But I mean, is anybody going to beat the Nuggets? So I mean, So I mean,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I,
And they're kind of similar to Milwaukee for me. And like, do you want to see
yeah, I want to.
that core healthy more? Because
Right.
Durant getting hurt after the trade kind of I think helped hurt them gel.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Um,
want to. I want to see a full season with Devin Booker, KD. If, I mean, I guess the biggest question is, is Chris Paul wanting to run it back? Is he gonna be? He's getting old. He's one of the older guys in the league now. What does he give you? Do you continue on? I guess that's the biggest question there. But yeah, for the most part, I'm running it back. I know. I know that there's, of course, Aiden comes up as someone that's moving every chance they get, and a guy that kind of disappears in the playoffs time to time. And what happens with that? Yeah, I mean, if you have KD and Devin Booker healthy for an entire season, that in itself is intriguing enough to at least keep that part together.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, their questions. Is Chris Paul? Um, is he a guy that you can count on
All right.
once deep in the playoffs to stay healthy?
Yeah.
And then I think you almost have to try to trade Aiton.
Yeah,
You
I
have to
think
see
it's
if
kind of
anybody. Yeah,
I guess, kind of been. I mean, it was toxic kind of last year, and they kind of smoothed it over. But did they really smooth it over? And I think it's kind of because him and Monty were cool. At least but yeah, with him gone, yeah, I would think that yeah, 8. And I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people that still think, well, Aiden still is a talented guy. He just needs to change the scenery. So I'm sure he will. I'm sure Phoenix can get a decent enough haul for him there. Should
yeah,
they trade him? I know that my Mavericks have been in one of the teams in that looking at Aiton, so we'll see how that plays out. But yeah, I think he's probably gone, and it's just a matter of Chris Paul. And then who do they bring in as the coach there? Um, uh,
yeah. Um, that's pretty much it for the big questions. Everything else is the usual. Like someone with the Knicks. Their questions are what do they do with you know Julius
oh
Randle
yeah,
and maybe RJ Barrett? Do they try to trade? You need to get a second kind of big name
right.
next to
Yeah, you get someone.
Brunson there.
Yeah, but
Uh,
I think right now, I mean, just where they are, I mean, they're ahead of schedule as of right now. So I don't think they're not in a
hmm
bad spot because nobody expected them to, do what they did. They won a playoff series and looked really good against a team that I thought was going to beat them there in the Cavs, and really took the Cavs. They worked the Cavs and just ran into the Heat, and it's looking like that's maybe that. I mean, they kind of got ran by the Heat, but I mean, it seems like everybody's kind of getting run by the Heat right now. That's kind of the story of the East. So,
yeah,
yeah, but I think they're ahead of schedule. Yeah, do they move Julius Randle? And he's one of those guys as well. Kind of a head scratcher. He'll have some big games, and then they'll have some questionable stuff that he does in games. And I know some Knicks fans, they get frustrated because there's no consistency there. I'm not sure what to get, but yeah, I don't, but overall, I think they're just ahead of schedule. No one expected them to do what they did this year. Yeah, but it'd be interesting to see. Do they run? The Julius? Do they bring in? Another bigger name and move him and bring someone else with Brunson, see if they can run that or but that. But being that I think they're ahead of schedule, I don't think there's as near as much pressure as some other spots where there's kind of I guess I get just with where with the Bucks and everybody's they're in the East and Philly. There was so much expectation this year and it didn't work out today. I think there's a lot more pressure in those spots than what's in New York right now.
yeah, for sure. Um, yeah, and other than that, there's like I said, just a little. Everybody's got their usual little
Yeah.
questions, but I think we went over the biggest ones there. Of course, the other big story from this past week. Was it this week? Yeah. The NBA lottery happened, and pretty much the big surprise was Detroit not getting a
Oh,
top 4
brutal.
pick. Yeah, brutal for them. Worst record in the league by like 10 losses.
And
But
shit.
the Spurs of all franchises get the number 1 pick, get the Victor Wembanyama.
It seems very familiar.
Yeah, right. Very familiar. Same squad that had David Robinson and then got Tim Duncan out of it. Just good for Wemby. That's a good franchise for him. You get at least a couple years of maybe
get a couple years
Greg
of pop.
Popovich coaching you. Yeah, a comfortable situation. They won't put too much pressure on you right away. Yeah. So sucks for Detroit, but they got a lot of young talent there.
They do. They still have Cunningham, Ivy. They stay healthy. That could be interesting.
Charlotte gets the number 2 pick. Of course, their big question is, Scoot Henderson or Brandon Miller.
Right.
I've seen arguments for both.
No matter what you need.
Portland, the Blazers. What?
Yeah, with that said, it just matter what is your preference? What are you looking for? But I don't think you can go wrong either way. It just matter what your preference is.
Yeah, exactly. Do they want to build like kind of that dynamic backcourt duo with Scoot and LaMelo? Do they want Miller's, wing scoring ability? Although they do kind of have one in Bridges there. But then you got the Blazers got to number 3. Seen a lot of talk about what do they want to trade that pick, try to get another kind of veteran star to go alongside Dame. Is this the year that Dame's finally traded, or what do they do with that? I wouldn't mind seeing Brandon Miller go there.
Yeah, I think that'd be a fun combination to watch. Dame and Brandon.
Good landing spot for him.
For sure.
Yeah. And we got our teams. Not much. Dallas did get into that top 10, so they keep their pick. Yeah. The Pelicans sit there. No luck for them. They're at 14, so that's another one that's possible trade candidate right there. Let's see. I was looking for that. Again, there were no big surprises really. Let's see. I think the Magic have 2 for top 11 picks, so that's interesting with their young roster. If they add to that, or maybe they work some trades themselves.
Yeah, the Magic, they have a young talent down there. It's just a matter of putting it all together. But we've
the Thunder, of course, have another lottery pick. The Jazz have 2 first rounders.
That's one thing with the Thunder. They, over the years, as we know, they've done a heck of a job drafting, putting teams together there, and they're always going to be competitive. If nothing else, they're going to always have at least one star, and they're going to be a team you can't sleep on. That front office for being in Oklahoma City and everything that people don't like about a little market, they do a heck of a job, I think. But,
so be interesting, that draft later in June 22nd. That'd be a good one. Interesting to see. I think there might be some trades this year.
I think there's gonna be a lot of trades, a lot of around that with the draft, and then of course with the free agency. The NBA always has an epic off season, so I'm sure we'll see something that'll catch our attention for sure, as we always do.
Yeah. Anything else on the NBA we missed you want to touch on?
Other than Ja. Again.
Oh, Ja. Yeah.
Oh boy. It's like, dang. Not even a month.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly. Yeah, you just said. I think you said everything. Just
yeah.
oh boy. Yeah, oh boy.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see how that
All plays
what
out.
happens there.
Exactly.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. Speaking of drafts, the NFL
Oh
draft
yeah.
also happened when we were gone. Um. One of the biggest things to happen there was actually a few hours before it took off, but the Ravens and Lamar
Got them.
Jackson
Finally came
finally
that
agreed to an
contract.
extension.
Yeah.
Yep, finally got there. Was a big, I think, actually, technically the biggest contract in NFL history once it's all said
Right.
and done. Or maybe not the biggest. That might be what's his face's Pat
I think it's
Mahomes.
just per
But
year. Guaranteed money was the
yeah,
biggest ever.
yeah, that's what it is. So Lamar ends up being a little bit more than Jalen Hurts' contract. That seemed to be the big impetus once Jalen Hurts signed his extension with the Eagles.
It
I think
kind of
that kind of put
set everything.
Lamar was like, okay, yeah.
It's not going to get
So
better.
yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
what 175 and guaranteed up front, but then a possible like 280 or
Yeah.
something guaranteed on the back end. So he got what he wants. The Ravens got what they want. They get their star
Right.
quarterback back. They draft Zay Flowers, receiver from Boston College, in the first round, which, according to all the experts, was maybe one of the bigger gets of the first round, considering where they were,
Right.
where they got them. That gives the Ravens a speed threat to go alongside their big guys, and Odell Beckham and a healthy Rashad Bateman and Mark Andrews. So I liked it. And so yeah, as a Ravens fan, the Ravens fans, you can breathe.
Yeah.
Good
Let's figure it
draft.
out.
Got your
Yeah.
quarterback back. Got some receivers to help them. So we'll see. Of course, the other big news. Our boy Bryce Young, number one to the Panthers. That's a franchise that's been looking for a quarterback for about 6-7 years now, since Cam
Right.
Newton started getting hurt
Yeah.
and left. The Texans made some noise after drafting C.J. Stroud second. They traded up again to get Will Anderson, so that kind of seemed like, if you read everything, the owner wanted a franchise quarterback, and D'Amico wanted Will as a defensive, anchor. And they both got what they wanted.
Exactly.
Still some work, a lot of work to do with that franchise and that roster. But those are two
good places to start.
pretty good cornerstones.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Two perfect places to start. It's just a matter of, giving everybody the patience that the NFL doesn't give you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, if the owner, if they're willing to, realize that's probably a few years worth of a rebuild there.
I mean, D'Amico is his first time coaching as a head guy. But I mean, he's familiar with the ownership as a long time player there, so he's familiar with how things run. So at least he has that going for him. And then he was their guy. So being that he was their guy, seeming from the get go, maybe more grace than other folks. So hopefully that's the case. And just these rookie quarterbacks, people expect Joe Burrow right away. But it's just a matter of what you put around them, and just give them the time to become a star. Because we know C.J. Stroud has the talent, or he wouldn't have been the number 2 pick in the draft. And a lot of these guys, they're not blessed necessarily. It's just the situations they go into. If you're not going to a good situation, of course, it's not going to work out. And they don't put a good offensive line around you, or some a premier wide receiver. No one's going to be good. So it's just a matter of what they put around these guys, and realizing that they've had. It's the reason why they were the number 2 pick in the draft, and give them time to work and get better. And hopefully they have the patience and time to do that. Because I think that they've got some good pieces. It's just a matter of how does it all work out.
Yeah. I think the fans there. I think the fans will give them.
Oh yeah.
I think they'll be patient, because they finally have. Obviously, like you said, D'Amico played there, so he was a team captain there. They love him. They got themselves a franchise quarterback. They got themselves a franchise star, defensive star.
Right.
They got direction
Yep.
in the franchise finally. You know, they've had 3 different coaches the past
Yep.
3 years. They've been just kind of lost in the wind since, you know, the Bill O'Brien era, and even that was
Yeah.
tumultuous.
That was it.
Like you
Yeah.
said, it's
Right.
ownership in the front office. They have to give D'Amico and his staff time to, you know,
Yep.
build the culture
Yep.
and build a roster.
So,
Other big things, I see Anthony Richardson, number 4 to the Colts. So that's interesting. You know, he was a big, you know, rising star in the combine and all the workouts. So
he gained all the numbers.
he's the guy that's got all the traits.
He has all the. His ceiling is very high. It's just a matter of does he reach that ceiling or not? we shall see. But yeah, that I would, you know, I really thought Will Levis was, you know, it seemed like that was their guy. But if I'm the Colts, I think they made the right decision. I think he has way more upside than Will Levis. So, you know, I thought that was a much better choice for them there. And it's also interesting, you know, the Colts going back to the drafting a guy instead of bringing in a veteran that hadn't worked out too well for him.
Yeah, especially with new coach Shane Steichen coming over from Philly. You know, he's running an offense that he ran with Jalen Hurts.
Right.
Richardson, you know, a little similar. So
Right.
that's probably a good situation
yeah.
for him, too. And again, it's the same thing as we talked about Houston. They just, you know, Irsay and ownership, they've got to give them patience there to
But they have
build back this
talent.
team up. They do. That's true. You got Jonathan Taylor at tailback. You got some receiving talent there.
They were going into last season. I mean, a lot of people thought they were a sneaky pick to go far in the playoffs. I mean, they thought, you know, that talent. You know, everyone wasn't sure about Matt Ryan, but they didn't think it was gonna be a bad thing, and it just blew up quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, that really did not, you know, work out for them. But so they have their franchise quarterback now after a couple of patchwork years, you know, Carson Wentz and then, you know, Phil Rivers and
Matt
like
Ryan.
you mentioned, Matt Ryan. So now they got their quarterback of the future, hopefully for them. Other interesting first round stuff going on. The Falcons at number 8 drafted a running back, Bijan Robinson. Granted, you know, they're saying one of the best, you know, running back prospects since probably Saquon Barkley.
But
that's early. It's early for a running back
a lot
these
of
days.
things in Atlanta. Running back wasn't at the top of that list, but
no, but they're building a fun offense. I'll tell you that much. With Drake London and now Bijan, Kyle Pitts, like they're gonna have some studs on that offense.
A lot of playmakers.
And in that, So that could be interesting to watch. The Eagles, you know, a lot of experts said they had the best draft overall. You know, they got Jalen Carter
Georgia North.
early. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, drafting a lot of Georgia guys. A big surprise, speaking of running backs, number 12, our boy Jahmyr Gibbs went 12 to the Lions. That's good for him.
Yeah, I was like, wow.
That's just a weird pick there, man.
I expect him to go in the first round. I was thinking mid-20s. They went at 12. I was like, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking the earliest that we might see him would be maybe I'm looking at all the people that drafting, you know. I mean, there was talk maybe like your Cowboys might slip in there and take him.
That's what I
was
talk
thinking.
maybe. That's what I was hoping for.
Mm-hmm.
And he just went so high. I was like, wow. Just jumped up.
And there was talk of maybe the Chargers taking him because Austin Eckler talking about maybe wanting to trade out of there. But so Detroit gets themselves another offensive weapon. They got some there now.
They're in Detroit.
Yeah. Now, if you know, that's one thing that you know, we say this now, but if you look back on it, you know, and they use him, and that's a guy with his talent. You know, he's got comparisons to like Alvin Kamara. He's got a little bit of Marshall Faulk in him, you know, not to place that weight on him. Yeah, it's a Hall of Famer, but he's got that kind of guy that you can use him. Yeah, exactly. He can run for 1,000 yards and like receive for, you know, like 800 a year.
Today's NFL.
Yeah, and he's a home run hitter every time he touches a ball.
Exactly.
Let's see. other big things here. First round, kind of went, nothing too exciting. Speaking of the Chargers, they did get Quentin Johnston from TCU. That's another big play receiver they have there for Justin
Yep.
Herbert to throw to. Mentioned Zay Flowers, the Ravens. Nolan Smith, we mentioned, Georgia North and Philly there. Will Levis, we talked about, he went round 2 to Tennessee.
Mm.
The Steelers get Joey
That
Porter
was
Jr.
perfect.
Seems like perfect pick. Yeah. Michael Mayer, the big tight end from Notre Dame, and everyone, you saw some like top 10 stuff for him. He ended up going to the second round of the Raiders. Let's see what else. Trying to think. Hendon Hooker went round 3 to, where did he end up? Detroit.
Yeah.
So
But
that's
that's a
interesting.
good,
That's probably a good spot for
because
him.
he
And
can
then,
sit there,
yeah,
doesn't have to come in and play right away, and continue to get healthy. Because he didn't tear the ACL till November, and despite it being that it seems like it's getting faster and faster for ACLs, it's still something still take seriously there. So he did. Luckily, he can learn, and eventually could be the guy down the road there. But
yeah. You figure that you'll get what you get out of what's his face up there now.
yeah,
Goff.
Jared Goff had he's had a pretty good season last year, and really, that Detroit team so close to the playoffs. And then, I would have to think that with the changes there in Green Bay, and that this Detroit team may be making noise to win the North.
For sure, yeah. That's a kind of a
Yeah.
wide open North there. Minnesota would be the favorite, but you
don't
really
know.
never know what you're going to get with Minnesota. Justin
Yeah.
Jefferson's going to kill
gonna
people.
happen.
He's going to get his numbers.
They have
Yeah.
the talent.
But
and they might be
outside of
moving
that,
Dalvin Cook. There's a lot of speculation he's out. There's just a matter of I just think it. They're definitely Detroit's. I think the hotter name as far as just what they did last year, and building off that. I think if I were betting right now, that's who I would put as my NFC North champion. Now that I've said that, sorry, Detroit.
yep.
Yeah.
4 and
Yeah,
14,
back in,
4 and 13, whatever.
top 5 draft pick next year.
Yeah. But yeah, let's see. Anything else? Anything else you want to talk about? NFL draft?
Yeah,
Happy with the
we
Cowboys?
didn't do anything sexy, but we did what we needed to do. Got a run stopper there in the first round. And we seem to always draft well. I can't say we really blown the draft in a long time. Just but what we do once we get to the playoffs, that's our big thing. We don't have any problem with the regular season the last couple of years. It's just a matter of getting it together at the right time. So that's just a long way to go with that. So
Yeah, and then, there's still some, free agents to be added here and there, and guys cut, and maybe a trade or two. So we'll see. Long summer still. Moving, let's see, real quick, other sports here. We'll see. Of course, spring practice wrapped up. The big news out of Tuscaloosa was getting that quarterback Tyler Buchner from Notre Dame after a less than impressive showing in the spring game by Jalen Milroe and Ty Simpson. Depending on your side, this is either horrible and the end of the dynasty for Alabama, or it's just ho-hum. It makes sense that this guy that was recruited by Tommy Rees and probably has a relationship with him wants to come play with him in the offense he knows, and it gives us another option.
I say more competition at this point, the better. I think iron sharpens iron. I don't think it's going to make anybody worse. If anything, it's going to wake them up and be like, hey, you could be the guy, but you have to you have to step up to a different level in order to be the guy come September.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. And as an Alabama fan,
yeah,
we
we are.
have been spoiled by quarterbacks. Our last
Oh yeah,
four starters have been Bryce Young,
right.
Heisman winner, number one pick.
Yeah,
Mac Jones, had the greatest quarterback rating in a single season. Beat
right.
Joe Burrow's records. First round pick.
Tua.
Then you had Tua, first round pick, and at the time was thought of the greatest quarterback in
Yeah,
school
and
history when
Jalen.
he left. Jalen before him, uh,
No, yeah.
we've been
I
spoiled the
mean,
past few, what,
yeah,
seven or
since
so, 6 or 7
2016, I mean,
seasons
we
now
had
with
quite the run
quarterbacks.
on the quarterback.
hmm And
We run with
we've
much
won
less.
with, we won a title
We
with
run with
Greg
McElroy. I
McElroy.
mean, for a while, I mean, you got to remember at one point, AJ McCarron was considered the greatest Alabama quarterback of all time.
Yeah.
Just trying to show.
And we won with Jake Coker, and they all those guys did
Yeah,
their skill set, and I think that's what the more I've watched the practice and read on Tommy Rees's offense, the strength there
running
is
the
going to
ball.
be his
Right.
adaptability to what's working. I think he's a guy that's not afraid that if the matchups work, we're going to spread it out. But if the
Yep.
matchups work, we're going to see some 3 tight end sets,
Right.
and we're going to look a little bit more like those 2012-ish teams where
That's
we just
not. I
line
mean,
up
and
and
that's
run
not
the
a
ball.
problem. I have no problem with that. If that's what's working, run it. And I know that Notre Dame had a lot of success with the tight ends. We bought that guy in from Maryland. See how that plays with the. But a lot of people are talking about the sky's falling. I don't really think that just because there's so much talent there. I think the defense is going to be nasty. That running back room is stacked. Um, and it's just a matter of the quarterback. I think, last year we won because of Bryce. This year, other people are just going to have to step up, and we're just going to have whoever ends up being a star just doesn't make the costly mistakes. And I think everybody else keep them in the game. And I think the defense is going to be better, and it's just going to be a matter of not having an errant pick or things of that nature. I think everything's fine in Tuscaloosa. I don't see any reason to think otherwise. Yes, of course, LSU is the hottest name in the West right now. Yes, they beat us and they won the West last year. But they're a talented team, but they don't necessarily scare me. It's just a matter of us finding and doing what we do, and I think if we find that and get kind of back to, I guess, more of a classic Alabama look that maybe hadn't been there for a little bit, I think we'll be all right.
Yeah. Uh, exactly. Yeah. And again, much like we talked about the NFL, there's a
Oh,
long summer ahead of us
a
with
lot of,
practice, and so
oh,
yeah, we'll see what happens with summer practice, and then his first game or
'cause
two
I'm
of the
sure that no
season.
one will know anything up until that Texas game as far as who's the stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, let's see. Also around the world of sports, got the NCAA softball regionals going on this weekend. Alabama lost a game today earlier to Middle Tennessee State, so they get now a win.
Several
Basically a
eliminated.
game 7-ish. Winner go home
Yeah,
here starting again in a few
absolutely.
minutes.
They have to win this. They didn't win the regional last year, and a lot of people wondering why Alabama got a regional this year. And that'd be brutal to lose this regional. They got to win.
Yeah,
Gotta win.
yeah. You got to win it. Yeah, and they're capable. Just bats went cold this last game, but they also put 12
Right.
past Middle Tennessee the other day. So
That's the biggest thing is those bats. People
we'll see.
quiet. And we haven't had a great hitting team for a while now. Tuscaloosa. That's the biggest question
Yeah,
mark
I
as
think
far as with the coaching is. We got to get bats because I think wasted some of Fauci's greatness just because we can't put run support around it.
Yeah, and her
No,
health is a big question mark right now. The
yeah,
hyperextended knee. They were showing her warming up, so I don't know if
and
maybe she'll make an appearance at this winter go home game, or if she'll
okay, supers.
trying to save her and see if she'll be healthy if we can
Yeah,
win and get to the super regional
I
next
mean, I would
weekend.
hope that we could win without
On the
her.
baseball side, okay.
You know, you're
Yeah,
at
you would
home.
hope
It's
so.
Middle
Yeah, that
Tennessee
would
State.
be ideal.
There's enough talent and enough experience to be able to pull that off without her. And you see what you have next weekend.
Yeah. And they would play the winner of I forget which regional, the 12 seed Miami, Ohio, and somebody else, Northwestern. Um, Baseball, the guys they're entering the SEC tournament this year, and did they get ended the season
Yeah,
on some good notes. Took a series from Vanderbilt, swept Ole Miss
ever
to end the
since
year. So maybe a
the
little momentum
controversy,
for the
we've
Tide
been
heading
killing.
into the postseason. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Ever since that's the other thing. Yeah. Ever since we got rid of the coach who apparently was gambling on games or giving tips or whatever. Some sketchiness abounds. So Brad Bohannon gone from the Tide, and they've kind of
Yeah,
cranked it up there. But yeah, we'll see. Like I said, SEC tournament, conference tournaments
but
starting up this week,
we're in
so
a
be a
much better
couple
spot
weekends
than we were
before
last
the
year. Much better record. I think we're uh, locked for a regional spot this
yeah.
year.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see elsewhere. NHL playoffs going on. Neither of us are big enough to know
Yeah, not really.
anything.
Everything
Talk
I
about
say,
it.
I'm gonna start saying I watch it, but watch it right now. We're up 2-1. But
Yeah,
yeah, that's where it kind of.
yeah. Let's see.
Good
WNBA
job, Brittany
season just
Griner
kicked
back. Saw
off.
her playing the other night.
Yeah. You got, let's see, over in England, Manchester City won their third straight Premier League title and fifth in the last 6 years. That's just a machine that's just rolling along there. And got the MLB season rolling along. Nothing spectacular going on. My Braves are having a good year. Your Yankees, after a slow start, appear to be turning it
The whole
around.
thing.
I know Aaron Judge killed me in my fantasy
Oh yeah,
matchup
he
this
had a
week.
good
Just
week.
murdered
But
me.
the whole AL right now, that whole AL East division is crazy. Like we're at the bottom of the division, and we'd be like first or second in most other divisions.
Yeah, who would I'm sure everybody on their preseason predictions had the Rays, the Orioles, and
Oh
the
yeah,
Pittsburgh
we all
Pirates
did.
as some of the best teams in the league so far. The
Yeah,
Pirates
but
have cooled off
they start
considerably
off hot.
lately, but the Rays have the Rays have the best record in baseball. The O's have the second best record in baseball. And like you said, all five teams in the AL East have winning records, and Toronto's in last place, and they're 4 games above 500. Yeah, you mentioned the Yankees have 29 wins, which is the same as the Braves, who have the biggest division lead in baseball right now at 5 games over the
Yeah, right
Marlins.
now the AL
So,
East is hot.
um,
If it stays that way.
yeah, it's gonna be a fun division, and you hope that like young team like the Orioles can stay that way to make it competitive
Yeah,
because
they
they're
ended the
definitely ahead of
season
schedule.
great last
But
year. And they seem to build,
yeah,
continue on that. So yeah, it's just a matter of keep staying healthy and just getting better. Yeah, they've
yeah, and that's what you hope everyone stays healthy. You hope all the big stars in baseball stay healthy. And you get some fun, guys like Ronald Acuna chasing 40 seasons now with these new stolen base being a lot easier. I think he's already got about 18 or so. So yeah, he's going to get there on the bases, and he's got I think 11, 12 home runs. So, but yeah, I think it's been a fun season so far. Other than that, I think we covered everything we missed.
It was a lot. So yeah, we kind of ran the gamut there. So.
Yeah, so we'll, as usual, we'll do every other week here during the slow parts of the sports world. So we'll probably be talking NBA finals next time you all hear from us. We'll see what else happens. So Greg, what's been done up for real good for you since last time we talked?
Real good for me. Probably bragging on my daughter. She got into the National Junior Honor Society last week, so that was pretty cool. She's pretty smart. How about you?
Let's see. Well, we're going to the beach tomorrow, so
Oh, that's always a good
yeah,
thing.
that's always good. That's what I'll say. A nice, relaxing week. We got home from New Orleans after a month of work and
Yeah.
had a bunch of doctor's appointments for everyone this week, the kid and all that. And everyone's looking good, but it's nice
Yeah.
to go
Yeah.
relax for a few days.
So relax a little bit. Yeah.
Yep, on the Gulf Coast. But thank y'all for listening. Welcome back. We're happy to be back. Like I said, we'll see you
I know
again.
you guys missed us.
Yes, we know that you guys were crying. It's okay. We're back. Don't be sad.
We're back.
But as always, check out everything. As always, check out all the great podcasts on the Alabama Take family of podcasts. Check out the AlabamaTake.com. You can hear us on all the places that you get your podcasts. Tell your friends about us. Tell your rich friends about us. Someone pay us money to do this, of course. And until next time, we'll take it easy, y'all.